So Angel Reese has been named Unrivaled's first Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's pretty well deserved, but also two things can be true. You can want to hand out this award and want to do what's best for pushing the league forward. I think at this point, it's pretty much a given that Fee is going to get the MVP award. So it would be pretty heavy-handed to get her both the MVP and the DPOY. So I do think Angel is a great selection for it. I think she deserved it. I think it was closer to like a most improved player award, especially considering how she started out in the league. I think a couple people have stated, whoever her trainer is right now, we're seeing a lot of good progression from her, specifically on offense with her putbacks and layups. But on the defensive end, she really was on a tear. I mean, when you look at the stats, Fee did get her in a majority of these categories, but on the floor and just watching some of the highlights, she was putting in work. She was locking people up on some defensive possessions. We saw her going up against Fee and Tiffany Hayes, going up against Brittany Griner. She really was being a force down in the paint. She was anchoring the rows on defense a lot of the times. So even as a fan, you saw her progression. You just saw her get better. She really is one of the top bigs in the league, especially at that position. When you're putting her up against Brittany Griner, Azurá Stevens, Aaliyah Boston, Dearica Hamby, which in that case could be attributed to playing time. She's proven to be pretty good in the post, specifically on defense, but Unrivaled has given her a chance to work on her footwork and really hold her own in the paint without giving a lot while being down there. So watching her from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, you can definitely see the progression and the work she's put in. And it's important to put on a good showing in Unrivaled with everything going on with the W and the negotiations with the CBA. So thinking about it from the perspective of the two businesses and the presence Angel Reese has, it works really well for the story. But she did earn this award, and it's important to remember that it was voted for by not just admin or the people in charge, but the players as well. So they did get their say-so in it. Now again, do I think they probably made this decision knowing Fee was probably going to get MVP? Probably. I'm not sure which other awards they're going to hand out, at least for this inaugural year. Sometimes they add more awards, in the second or third year of the league, because we could see Chelsea Gray get an award. Kayla McBride got a lot of attention over the course of the season. Along with Defensive Player of the Year, she also made Unrivaled's first all-second team, only losing out to Naphesia Collier when you consider positioning. I mean, as the founder of the league, and again, who's probably going to be the MVP, that's still pretty good positioning considering. So you're the second best big in the league. That's pretty good. Looking at the first team, I definitely think it was well placed. Naphesia Collier, Chelsea Gray, Kayla McBride. Chelsea Gray, the second half of the season, Chelsea Gray really put her name on the league. She became a staple. She was someone to look forward to watching. Same with Kayla McBride. I think the 3-on-3 really helped her game as well. And then Naphesia Collier, she just owned the league. I mean, she literally owns the league. So she makes first team. She'll probably get MVP. And I think Defensive Player of the Year would have just been a little heavy there. So I do think a little bit of business decision went into the award. I do think it was well deserved. I definitely think Angel Reese earned it, but just looking at the stats, it easily could have went the other way. And then looking at the rest of the second team, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Ryan Howard, I think those were well deserved as well. Skylar Diggins-Smith just played crazy. I think she reminded everybody why she's a top player in the league, in the W specifically. And then Ryan Howard, I think she earned this, just having a lot of time on the floor. Ryan Howard got to play a lot for the Vinyl. Spoon didn't make a lot of changes there, so she was really, really good in some games, and then other games it was like you didn't even recognize who you were watching there. So for the most part, it kind of evened out, but her good games were really, really good, so I could see that going to her. You can make a case for Alysha Gray. Honestly, she was a main reason the Owls went nearly undefeated. She played her role to a T, knocking down threes, making the right pass, just playing her best game and making sure the Owls got the win. So I could see that going to Alysha Gray, mainly because I feel like Dearica Hamby played very efficiently with the minutes she was given. But for it to be the first year for Unrivaled, I don't think it's a bad lineup there. And then so like a lot of leagues, even if you're doing very well, if your team is at the bottom of the standings, you're not going to be rewarded as well. Brittany Griner averaged almost 17.6 rebounds, 2 blocks, but the Phantom were just horrible this season, so she's not going to be considered for anything. Same with Brianna Stewart, 19 points, 10 rebounds per game, but the Miss were the second worst team in the league. So you can make an argument a couple of different ways, especially when it comes to the Laces, Alyssa Thomas, Tiffany Hayes, Kate Martin. If they weren't injured for a majority of the season, you probably would have seen a few awards thrown their way. But I definitely think it's a good sign for Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. This has to be a confidence boost if nothing else. Of course, the rhetoric online and the narratives are going to be every which way. But as a player and being in an inaugural league and Unrivaled trying to put themselves on the map, I think this is a good move for the league. I think this is a good earned offseason for Angel Reese. And if you consider this from the player's perspective, on top of having access to state-of-the-art equipment and all the coaches that are there and the training staff, and really just being able to capitalize on your offseason in the best way possible, I would say moves like this show that the league is really for the players. They want to put on a good show. It's gonna be a good product for the fans, but this is for the players. This is so they have a good offseason. This is so they have good networking. This is so they can build that confidence and feel like they're being rewarded for what they do and what they're giving to this league. So I think Unrivaled is just trying to show that they appreciate their players regardless. Again, Angel did a great job throughout the season. It definitely could have went to fee, but I think as a league and to just solidify the partnership with the players, this was the best move. This was a really good vote and a very good decision. I think as a player and a fan, it's the perfect award. As a business, I think it's excellent. But if you look at the stats, you can definitely see how this award could have went to fee. I think it's such horrible timing that she's going to be out for the semifinals. She's a very important piece to the Rose, not just offensively, but obviously defensively, just holding their team together and being the anchor on that side of the ball. I don't know. I think this hurts the Rose. I think this gives the Laces a definite leg up, considering their team is almost back to full strength with half of them being unhealthy for most of the season. And I'll kind of say it again, as a business decision, they probably knew she was going to be out, so awarding her and just ending the season on a good note for Angel Reese and the Rose, this was the best they could do for that club. I think this was a good off season for Angel Reese. I think she put in a lot of work. She deserved closer to a most improved player award, but defensive player of the year is a good showing for the league. The Rose have a really good option in Azare Stevens, so it's still going to be a pretty good game. Not having Reese gives the Laces the slight edge, but again, with that team just coming back to full strength and having to find their groove at the end of the season, it's pretty much a even wash there, so it should still be a pretty good game.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, players.